Hi, I'm Pastor Tish Webb, and this is Spiritual Warfare.
Time to Pastor Tish stands tall, a fire in her soul, teaching us the fight, how to take control. With her Bible raised, she's a battle cry. We're not just watchers, we're soldiers, we'll fly.
Hi, this is Pastor Tish Webb, and today I have a special time with a world missionary that I've known since she's been a very young age. This is Lori, and we live in a rural community, and I think a lot of people think in a rural community there's not much I can do for God because, I don't live in the big city. I'm kind of got a small world that I live in, but God has different ideas. He has bigger plans. And so I remember her as this young teenager that was hungry for the Lord, and the Lord just poured out his glory upon her. And we're going to hear about that today, okay? So we want you to share this with your friends and be blessed today. Lord, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you are based at a missions center out west.
Yes.
And you come in sporadically to visit family. And you were in this weekend.
Yes.
And of course, this will be viewed a couple of weeks later, but you were in this weekend and you got to tell the people some of what's happening in your life. Mm-hmm. I want to start at the beginning where I began to know you and where this story began with. And I want to ask you a question in this. If you had not said yes to the Lord, what do you think your life would have been like today? Just give me kind of an imaginary picture compared to maybe some other people you went to school with or grew up with. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the trajectory I was going was just to be a teacher. My mom was a teacher, and that's just kind of the route. I mean, I love kids and I love doing that. So I think I probably just would have been a teacher, which, yeah.
And had a farm, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
With animals.
That's right, with lots of animals and lots of family close by.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But you said yes and stepped out by faith.
100%.
100%. And God sent you around the world.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did. And so I want you to see how small beginnings do not always stay small. Mm-hmm. And God, no matter what you're doing and no matter what God's called you to do, if you just keep saying yes, he expands it within the parameters that he already designed for you. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about what your family is doing now in missions work.
Yeah, so right now we're in Colorado, and so my husband is working with a group called Business as Missions. Mm-hmm. I took it off the website because that's the easiest way in. So it's just saying it's a strategy for the specific purpose of transformation of people, communities, spiritually, economically, environmentally, socially, for the glory of God, through a viable and sustainable business which has a kingdom of God, values, purpose, perspective, and impact. Ultimately, the business is the ministry. And we kind of got, I don't know how, if you want me, we kind of got there because we were in Central Asia for a couple of years, and we loved it there. And we really felt like we were getting used to the things, but it was such a poor area. Yes. And so we were like, we want to give them Jesus, and we will give them Jesus. But then there was this other aspect that we're like, okay, they still don't have jobs, and they still don't, they're still not able to feed their families. And so we ended up coming back when I was pregnant, and my husband was just really wrestling with this, what does the gospel look like? And of course we're going to preach Jesus, but really how do we bring the whole gospel and really help people? So that's kind of how we got to this spot right now.
Right.
Yes.
And we'll explain more about that.
Yeah.
Because some people don't understand what is business missions and mm-hmm. how is that truly effective in a world mm-hmm. Where we want to say, well, we just need to preach Jesus. Well, if the door is not open, it's difficult to preach mm-hmm. Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when you were before you had children, and you were in a third world country that is probably under a very difficult regime today, and we'll just leave it nameless. But I remember pictures that you sent to your mother, and she was overwhelmed with sadness. She goes, "My Lori, I don't know how she's living like this." And I said, "God's give her the grace." Because you had like an outdoor facility to cook in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Plumbing was very limited. If
We
any.
ended up bringing it into the house.
There you go.
The first house we lived in, we had like a little outhouse.
Yes.
And the people before us had a golden ladle hanging on the thing that you'd have to go if you drop something into the hole.
Yes. See, people don't understand this. We're not far generations from that here in America in places, okay? I mean, I remember our school got burnt down, and we all had to be put in different buildings around the community until they got a school built. And one of them was this little church that the fifth grade went to, and it had an outdoor outhouse. And as fifth graders, we just thought this was amazing, big deal. It's kind of like
Middle of the night.
it's like camping, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, so anyway, some people will be like, "Oh, I can't believe that," but God gave you a joy doing that.
Yeah.
And you got to meet some very beautiful people during that time.
For sure.
And so then you had came back for a while, like you said. And so then how did you get into this new kind of concept of missions? And then what was like the first jaunt out in this?
Yeah. So, we were overseas, and then we came back when our third was needing to be born. And so, like my husband just kind of was wrestling with this and just trying to see like, what can we do for people? And there is like the countries that we were drawn to or felt like God had put on our heart were countries you just couldn't go and evangelize or say that you were a worker, because you would get yourself in trouble or kicked out very quick.
Very quick.
So like we just kind of wrestled with this idea. And so the campus that we were at, the missions campus we were at, like they had a coffee shop. And so my husband was like, "Oh, well, like I'll just see." It's kind of like what we talked about, the yes. Like we're like, okay, we don't know where this is leading. We think this could be something. And so we just said yes. And so he walked in, he's like, "Oh, this could work. We could take this over." And so it just kind of has evolved from there. And so that led to my husband had wanted to do culinary stuff. And I mean, it's his story, but I mean, and he'll say this, like school was not his thing. So like when God first brought it up, he was like, I'm not smart enough to do it. And so he kind of pushed it away. And then somebody else had come and they had started going to this culinary school. And so he felt like God brought it back up. And so he ended up doing it. So like it's kind of evolved into this culinary. And I mean, to my husband, like he ended up being the valedictorian, and like, I mean, which is just a miracle in itself, because it's just beautiful.
It is
beautiful when God tells you to do something,
right?
And like
he doesn't take your desires away.
No,
he just expands them.
Yeah.
And so this vision, some may not understand, but they started doing businesses in third world countries that need income. People need income. They need a way to provide for their families. But it also opens a door to speak about Jesus. Because if you're a successful business in a very poor community, you have power.
Yeah.
And I remember one of your stories was, and culinary is very important. I'll digress, but come back. Because many workers work in hotels, because some countries, their main business will be tourist, because maybe they have waterfront, and they have things that people want to go and see. So many of them would be get a job there, and that would be a very good job for in their country. But you guys started seeing how that starting a business in a country gave them power, and one of the stories was this one community wanted to expand their tourist industry, and it was going to bring in a lot of prostitution. And you already had like a group of locals that had maybe had this wrong, pizza shop.
I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to remember if it was the pizza shop or not.
Some kind of business they had.
Yeah.
And that gave them some input to speak into the government there.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I can't remember that.
That's okay. But I remember the
But
story and
yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that
But yeah,
they spoke into the government and said, look, you
this
bring
isn't.
this kind of
Yeah,
the way they were going to expand it and the way they were going to not they didn't have enough laws in place to prevent this scourge of
yeah,
prostitution that would then demoralize the community, bring in more poverty.
yeah,
So they spoke up and the government listened
yeah, yeah. It was amazing. Yeah.
because they were
Hmm.
business owners.
Because they had
It's
that authority to be able.
authority. That's right. So that gives you a platform
Yeah.
in a country
Hmm.
that, one of our other friends has a unique ministry, and I'll just digress a little bit on that. Okay, so as we were talking about developing businesses in other countries, we have a friend who has a ministry where people invest, they put their money with him, and they pay back, interest, but he takes it, so your money gets to do two things. He takes it and he invests it in locals in third world countries.
Yeah.
They will
Yeah.
buy goats, they'll
Yeah.
buy sewing machines, they will maybe start producing crops and they need the equipment,
Yeah.
farming
Yeah.
equipment, and then they will pay back this loan
Yeah.
and that interest. So it gives them pride in the fact that
Yeah.
they're
They
not
own
getting
it.
charity,
Hmm.
but they are becoming empowered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then he also, as able to give his investors, some income on that interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like a multiple blessing.
Hmm. Yeah. It's
So
beautiful.
some of the stories that you have, share with us about how this business ministry works.
Yeah. So there's another a restaurant and one of the stands that my husband's been able to work with, and they have the pizza one. That's why I was trying to think if that's the, but so in the former Soviet Union, all the stands there, they're known for their corruption,
Yes.
and so they were coming. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but like every business has two sets of books, one that they show the government and like the real one. And this company had one set of books. So like the local government had recognized this business because they were actually like
Honest.
they were honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, and just like those little things that you're like, it speaks like, I mean, for them, they're believers in Jesus and they
Yes.
know that. And they are like, and they're doing things, not hiding things.
Right. So their
So,
integrity spoke very strongly.
yeah, yeah.
So many of these people, you're taking locals who know Jesus, and then they produce these businesses, and then that gives them a platform to speak into other areas.
Yeah,
Speak individually, one-on-one to
Yeah,
people, speak
yeah.
into the government,
yeah, yeah,
and then empowers that whole community to rise.
yeah, yeah,
It's called gospel, I forget, evangelism and rise, where people's everything about them, when Jesus comes in, everything about them
Rises.
starts to
Oh, okay.
increase
Yeah,
and
yeah.
rise. Their cleanliness of their places. There was a research at one point in time about how people's homes, they started painting their homes, they started cleaning things,
Just taking care of,
taking
like
care of,
wanting to-
because they knew they were valued, because Christ values them. So the whole concept of serving Jesus just expands everything in your life to a better level.
Yeah, yeah,
So now you don't travel as much now, even though you're full time at one point,
correct.
because you're raising 4 men of God.
Yeah, yes.
And so, but you also have other responsibilities there on the base. So what else do you do there on the base now here locally in States?
Yeah, so at the base, I'm in charge of all the staff housing. So, I mean, it ranges a variety. So I oversee, there's a team of us, and it just is where people go. But also, when our campus is an old hotel, so we've been there for 18 years, and it still looks like an old hotel. So like, there's just lots of details into
Right.
like when we renovate and like making it look like our like who God's called us to be, and
Yes.
versus just this hotel. So we've been in this process for a while. So I've overseen this staff housing, and so that means like if roommates aren't getting along, then they call me,
Yes.
or like
You're kind of like a mama.
it's true. That's what people say. They're like, Mama Lori,
Yes.
one of the guys. And I'm like, no, but I just like housing is very personal to people. And so I'm like,
It
I
is.
really do want to honor people.
True.
At the same time, we still have rules that we have to work within,
Yes.
like, or because we can't just give out whatever, because like we do feel like God is like things are coming and God is bringing us more people. So there's a
Yes.
reality that we have to
Responsibility,
yeah.
yes. I
So,
remember being in Jamaica with just this devastation
oh,
storm
so
in
sad.
Jamaica. And I remember one mission trip we were in Jamaica, and this young couple with a baby were living in a room in somebody's house. That's all the mission funding they had, was to pay for a room, and the room didn't even have a door. It had a
Oh,
curtain.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
wit to visit with them. Of course, we visited in the what you would call a living room of this
Mm-hmm.
house that they were renting a room in. And it was a bit sad, but they were so joyful because God had given them the grace to do this.
Yeah, it's true. It's
And I
true.
think about the primitive things that you all had to do when you first started out,
Yeah, yeah,
but you had the grace for it because
yeah,
you were in
it's true.
love with what God was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he just advanced that to now you see,
Mm-hmm.
well, I understand somebody comes and gives up everything and they want to go to do something bigger for God, but
Yeah,
they do
yeah,
need a facility that
yeah,
is, respectful
yeah,
for them to
yeah,
live in.
yeah,
So you do that, and then you also have responsibilities with some ones that come in that just need
yeah.
some one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah,
And Josh
that's
was telling me about some of them that you recently had been working with, and what. Go
yeah.
ahead with that.
Yeah, I mean, we have four boys, so but like I don't know that we have an open door, but people say we do. Like it's just like I don't know. Like when I think about it, I don't think it's a big deal. But then like when I talk to my mom's like, Lori, not everybody can live like that. Like because we do just have people who will come and and I don't always think it's a big deal. Had people who come from broken families and like we like and just us doing life, we've brought stability and we've been
Yes.
able to love on people in a way that like I'm like this just seems normal to me,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
but it's impacted them in a way that I could never imagine.
Yes. You and
So
Josh both came from very stable families.
yeah,
He
yeah.
came from another farming family
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Iowa.
yeah,
And so just this whole hospitality
yeah.
that God's put in you
I
is
think
very strong.
yeah.
And so, what happened in your life that caused you to feel the call to go to mission school?
I know. I was thinking about this. I had the question and I was like, so, like, I mean, when we were raised, like, my parents were both raised Catholic. So that's like, it's a very strong pull with families, especially you don't leave the Catholic Church. And before any of my sisters were born, like, my parents became Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And they would still go to the Catholic Church. And then growing up, we would go to the Catholic Church and then we would go to a non denominational church, the church that you guys pastored before this one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I think that church just shut down,
Yes.
or so then we went back to the Catholic Church. So we always had like the both and growing up, and like from my memories, which I'm like I don't even know where it came from. Like I remember being in the Catholic Church and there being a guy who's working in I think at an orphanage in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and I remember giving money to that. And I just like it's like one of those memories that's firmly in my head. And
Yes.
like me thinking it was such a big deal. So I'm like, maybe I didn't give money out. Like maybe I wasn't. I don't know. But like I feel like that's kind of like was a seed that was planted all those
Yes.
years ago. And then when you guys started this church, and then there was a missions group from Arkansas
Mm-hmm.
that came, and my dad was like, I really want you guys to come. And so we came, and it just felt like from there, like, I don't know, I feel like it was just seeds that started to get planted. And
Yes.
like, and like you said, like, I remember coming here, and like when like the first Sunday I came, or the second Sunday, I was just like, whatever they say, I'm going to do. Like I just remember, and like, or whatever the altar call was, because I remember then I got baptized in the Holy Spirit. Like in my head, it was like the first or second Sunday, but I just remember like, I just want Jesus. Like,
That's
I
it.
just want Jesus. Like, I
Yes.
just remember like, whatever it is, like I'm in, like I'm doing this. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you're one of four daughters in this
Hmm.
family,
Yeah.
and um, so I know your other sister. She's
Yeah.
has been on the mission field as well,
Yeah.
and she has a position here at the church.
Yeah.
And but yours was different. Your call was different than hers,
Yeah. Yeah.
yet very fruitful, because
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
people who go to Bible school, to mission school,
Yeah, for
and they
sure.
don't
For sure.
fulfill it.
Yeah.
They just go and then they get distracted.
Hmm.
Maybe life pulls at them, as the parable of the seed in the
Hmm.
ground, and things distract them and get them off. But you stay focused and you went for it.
Yeah.
When you said that about giving a little offering. I remember as a child, we would get these. Of course, my father was a pastor, and he
Yeah.
also worked, full time, and my
Mm-hmm.
mother worked full time. So our ministry was all giving. It wasn't, there was no income from that. So it was had tent meetings and
Yeah. Yeah.
storefront
Yeah.
church in
Yeah.
poverty areas. But I remember we would get these missions booklets from missionaries and see the orphanages. And I would go around as a young girl, knock on people's doors, show them the pictures, and say, "Do you want to give to these missionaries?" And I would collect money and then
Oh,
send it.
yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like, well, it was in my heart, just like it was
That's
in your
yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
And God just expands that.
Yeah.
Whatever you give
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
whatever you give him, he's going to expand it. Well,
Yeah.
that is so awesome.
Yeah.
And then how many nations do you remember if you can think?
Well, I was making a list when I came because I was like, oh, how many have we been in? I don't
Right.
know. Josh has been in more,
Right.
but
But we as a church have had people step foot on 44 nations out of this building,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
guys were another extension out of the
Yeah.
building, and we
Yeah.
really don't count all of
Yeah.
all those nations, but you know, the world is big,
It's very big.
and you need to get out of sometimes your thinking,
Hmm.
because all you focus on sometimes is your own problems, your own issues. I remember
Hmm.
when we went to Kenya. And we went to the major city, and there was the mass poverty. One of the biggest ghettos in the world was there. And then we went to a rural place, and as soon as we pulled in this little community, farming community, there was this guy who was just eat up with alcoholism, and he was laying on a pile of garbage, and he was picking through it.
Yeah.
Him and his little dog,
Yeah.
just trying to eke out a living. There were the little shops, and there was a little leadership school. That's what we were going to. We were going to speak to pastors in that region
Okay.
that
Yeah.
were gathering at this little leadership school that had been founded by one of the local men there who had come to America. He's a pastor now here in the Cincinnati area, but he goes and continues to feed into that community the gospel and raises up leaders. And pastor today was just on the internet teaching some of those leaders that are in universities,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
but they need a Christian concept on being leaders in
Yeah.
business
Yeah. Yeah.
in Kenya.
That's
And
awesome.
so it all kind of expands, but you go to some places and you see things that you can't imagine
Hmm.
how people live. And so how many did you count there?
Josh is like about up to 18, and I'm a little over 10.
So and then raising four men of God.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows what is going to multiply there?
I know. I mean, it's nerve-wracking and exciting
Exciting.
being on this side as a mom now.
Right. It is.
Because like they just got a taste of it and they're like, yeah, I'm done for the normal. Like this is what God wants me to
So
do.
you understand your mother when she was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and that it is hard when you have to release your children and let them be who God's called them to be, and just trust them with the Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
Moses in the bulrush basket.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
So, do you have anything you would like to share with people before we wrap up today? I just want to take advantage of you being here. I know you're going to be going back home quickly,
Yeah.
and this was a last minute, and she said yes, and I appreciate that. So, Lori, just say whatever you want.
I think that's what, like, I mean, it seems so simple because, like, just like looking through the questions that Pastor Tish had sent me, like, I was like, what did bring my calling? Like, what did bring, like, even with Josh and going to culinary school, it was just like one step on top of the other. And it wasn't like, I mean, I remember when we went to Central Asia, there was a defining moment, like when we were in this prayer time that God was like, this is like, He put it on our hearts in such a strong way. And I mean, He's done that, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just been this yes. It's just been this yes, and like continuing to say yes. And I mean, we never, when Josh did, like took a coffee shop and then did culinary school, we never thought it would look like this. But like at the same time, like he's found, like he loves going to these restaurants and being able to make them succeed and like just changing. Like the first one he went to, people were like, it was taking 45 minutes to get food out, and he changed something in the kitchen, and then it took 15.
Yeah.
But it's just like those skills that God gave, but then we're like, we didn't know how God was going to use it. We didn't know that this yes would lead to this, but we just kept saying, yes, God, we want you and we want to be used by you. We want to be your hands and feet.
Right. I
So
think there's a show where this guy goes into restaurants here in America. I don't know the name of it, and he straightens them up, it
yeah,
makes them
yeah, yeah,
profitable.
yeah, yeah.
So he's got this spiritual job, but there's just not a TV show about it. But he goes in and helps them to
Yeah.
be more efficient.
Yeah.
And then therefore more
Yeah.
prosperity comes.
Yeah.
People talk a lot about, well, I don't believe in prosperity, but well, then just don't receive a check when you go to work, okay? Basically, that's the bottom line,
Yeah.
isn't it? So if we're prosperous, then we're able to bless others. We're able to give
need to.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
So these companies need to be more profitable, more doing it in more time constraints where they're not wasting time and wasting food, wasting
Yeah.
all kind resources.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about taking care of the planet, but sometimes we just don't even take care of our own lives
Yeah. Yeah.
and get them in order in
Yeah.
order for God to be able to use us in another dimension.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this has been exciting to hear about this. And I know many of you really don't have the time to ask them a ton of questions when they come in. And some of you that are watching online really don't know anything about the story. So I think that you will hear something from the Lord today, that this will touch your life in some small way, just something that expands your vision. Not everybody's called to go to the nations. I always thought, oh Lord, I can't live in a mud hut. And I've seen the mud huts in Kenya when we went to a little museum and all that, and the tribal head had his first wife's hut and then his second wife's hut.
Yeah,
And it's, we've seen the history of that. And I was like, as a little girl, I can't do, well, God didn't ask me to do that. He said, just say yes to what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, and that's
And as you do that, then you expand the kingdom wherever you're at.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is a big world.
It is. It's
8
very-
billion people. I think there's
yeah.
something all of us can do. So I'm going to say to you today, I hope you hear clearly from the Holy Spirit to say yes, as small as it seems,
Yeah.
and continue to say yes. So I hope you will like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.